Hello, and welcome back to NDtv. In this tutorial episode, we are going to cover requirement traceability matrices. We'll start off by covering how we go about using a matrix and what the different pieces and parts are. From there, we'll transition into how we go about creating our own matrices given the projects that we are assigned. So, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a minute to acknowledge that there are other formats to a requirement traceability matrix. In this format, the business requirements are along the columns and the test scenarios are along the rows. However, I don't feel it gives a lot of information, so I have elected to stick with this method. I've given both a little bit of consideration as to which one to cover, and hopefully you'll agree this one wins. All right, so a requirement traceability matrix is broken up into three different sections. And let me just take a minute to say there could be other looks and feels, and there is no right or wrong. It's all about what works for you. This is the one that works for me. So it's broken up into three sections. The first one is the business requirement document section, the functional specification document section, and the test scenario document section. All this information essentially comes from a business requirement document, and we will kind of cover all the different documents that are needed for this. Essentially, they are all here. Those are the three different documents that we're going to need, except for there is another one called the non-functional specification document, which is anything that's not tracked. It's not a functional requirement of the document. Okay, so in the business requirements document, we have an ID and a module name. An ID to identify it, so we can have backwards compatibility, forward compatibility, and then a human name to it, so we can understand what it is we're talking about. The same format is kind of followed along through, as you'll see. The functional specification document also has a ID number and then a use case, which is a short description of what the functional specification is. Priorities can be set. Typically, it's high, low, or medium. And then in this test scenarios, you have the ID, and then the execution status, which is a pass-fail. And then if it did fail, it's always good practice to put a defect number in there with another table that will explain what the defect is. We'll explain a little bit of the breakdown of stuff as we go. For this tutorial, I do know BR01 references the purpose of the business requirement document, which does not have any functional specifications. It's all non-functional. So we're going to skip over to 2, which is scope. BR is a reference to business requirement. 02 is the section in which this is. So just if you saw just this, you would know where to find it. How do you go back to the original document that requested this work? Okay. Now, it is important to note that you can have one BR scope, and in that, it'll have several specifications. You can choose to go all the way down with it or not. I prefer not to. I don't like a very busy looking table. So therefore, if we come over here, let's take a minute to explain this format. Using the same as before, FS, just to let you know, looking at this table set of IDs, that you're in the function specification document. The 02 is actually a backward reference to the business requirement. So looking at this is talking about the scope. And the .1 is literally the order in which the specifications are listed. So .1 is the first specification, which is training module must be 15 minutes or less. I don't know if you could catch on, but my business requirement document is something that I prepared to help me organize this video and to get it structured in a way that relays the points that I feel are most important in a timely manner. The 15-minute requirement for me is a high priority. I don't want it to be any more than that. I'll get over to here afterwards because typically what you do is you'll have all this stuff filled in. You'll propose it to the team, put it in a central location, and you all attack it at once. Maybe not at once, but you get the point. So we go down through, and that being said, you can kind of go through and say, well, let's go to the next one. And yes, there are going to be 8 different topics covered. This is, again, a high priority. Number 3, the RTM should take 15 minutes to go over. So of that 5 minutes, Of the 15 minutes, 5 minutes should be used to go over what we're discussing right now. And looking at the video, I'm actually about to go over. Haha, so let's preemptively say this is a medium. See that? I can cheat. So therefore we can go down. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit and speed up things. So there we go, we have 7. I know that's true because there is not 8. See how it gave me the So boom. Which means, hey, come over here. And now we're on 3, which is the overview. And there are, if I remember correctly, 2. Now that we got a pretty good go of it, now we do the test. All right, so you propose this to your crew, everybody knows the specifications, and you start assigning stuff. So let's just go straight from the top for this example. Test case, again, same numbering convention. Test scenario, let you know that that's what IDs you're looking at. 02 is a reference to the scope. 1 is the first specification within the scope, and .1 is the first test of that function. I won't know, but I'm going to assume I'm going to pass it because I'm not going to allow me to fail. And then you keep going down through, pick your test case. Let's say I fail this one. Well, let's go to the one I know I'm going to fail. Fail. Did I do it within 5 minutes? I'm doubting it. So DF01, which I know to be, did not meet the requirements. All right. And that's essentially how you would work a requirement traceability matrix. So moving from here, we're going to take and look at how we came to this point. What was the process of taking the business requirement document and transforming it into a requirement traceability matrix that can be used to help keep quality control in check, time, and making sure that everything is being relayed effectively, effectively communicating with your crew. All right, so as I said, all of the information actually comes from a business requirement document, as you can see here. In case you haven't seen one of these before, I will just page through so you can see what it actually entails. Typically a title page with an amendment history, document approval section, and the stakeholders. Amendment history is just how many different amendments to this specification has there been, the approval, who approved all the work, and then who are the stakeholders, which is essentially who are the people directly affected by this document. Followed by a table of contents, and then the actual business requirement itself. There are other pages that you'll see are actually put in after. And this is, when you get done with your reinterpretation of it and you get the matrix done and you want to give the client back a completed document, you would give them back this same document with your attached information so they can see all the work that was done to it. It's a great way to assure them that quality control methods were put into place. So we're going to focus, of course, on the business requirement document. It is important to say that this information isn't always given to you in this format. It could be as simple as you're given a contract. Where I work, I was just given a IT contract where we hired a company to come in and put in a new server and a point-to-point. So it was my job to take their proposal and contract and put it into a quality control measure, which I went ahead and did one of these for. So it's important to know that the information can come to you in many different formats. Typically, the professional version would be this way. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to slowly start interpreting all of this information in a way that we can use in the requirements traceability matrix. Starting from the top. In this case, I've already numbered the headers. Sometimes you would probably see it more, maybe you see it like that, where the headers aren't there. but some businesses will give you a version that is with the headers being numbered. So that being said, as we said previously, the document is broken into a data table. So we take a written document and reinterpret it into a format that a computer can understand, and you can put IDs to it and make it traceable so you can go backwards and forwards easily. So what we'll do is we're going to end up taking each one of these headers, and those are going to end up becoming our module names. The numbers, in this case, we are going to correlate right over and put the numbers in. But if they weren't numbered, you would, go ahead and do that. And for this example, we are going to take the details or the paragraph within the header and put it as part of the details of the document. So we'll start by the first one. You do want to track, even if it's not a functional specification, meaning this is not anything that we have to actually put into the project. You want to make sure that you track it. So we start again by putting the ID of BR01, put the module name, which is the header name, purpose, and then the details right on in. And then you're just going to keep doing that straight on down through the whole document. You're going to create a whole table based off of the document. So at the end of it, when you get down to the conclusion, they're all there. Okay, so now everything's traceable. And as I said before, if I say to you, hey, go into BR08 and double check the specifications in there, you know that you got to go to the business requirement document, look at the section 8 or the topic defects table, and check the specifications. Okay, so that being said, I think it's fair to say we can move on. All right, so we're going to cover the next table, which is the NFSD, or the non-functional specification document. Here you're going to list all of the non-functional specifications of the business requirement document. Hence, earlier when I said I knew BR01 was not a functional specification, it lives here. Whether it's something that we have to track or not on the functional specification or on the matrix, you do want to be able to track it. Which brings us over to the functional specification document, or FSD, where we are going to start the process again of breaking down the business requirement sections into functional specifications, where essentially we're going to start taking this and breaking it up. So you can see we're going to take this first sentence and make it its own specification, and then we're going to go to the next sentence and make it the next specification, and so on and so forth, all the way through the whole thing to make sure we have everything covered. So like I said, the first one, we're going to say BR02, it's scope. It's a function specification 02.1. It's the first function of this scope, and training module under 15 minutes. And no correlation, but it's also good to have it here too, so you can just resort and look at this whole table differently. And then again, you're just going to keep going straight on down through the whole document, breaking it right on down, every step. So you can look at this table and know exactly what each one of the different specifications are and where to find them and how to understand them. The test cases, again, I've already went through. This is a little bit more to it. You're going to do the same thing, except this time you can see, instead of seeing the BR on the side, you're going one step lower. So essentially you're going to take the BRD and you're going to go one step down from there to a FSD, and then one step down from there to a TSD. So sometimes it helps to look at it this way. So if you're looking at it in a tree view, essentially this is what we're doing. Okay, so that being said, you're going through and you're listing all the different test scenarios for each one of the functional IDs. And you could have more than one for each one, but for this example, I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. So the first one, training module, 15 minutes or less. Well, what's the check for that? You watch the video. Did it end within 15 minutes or less? The answer, yes or no. Which brings us back to here and how we got everything done. I will take a brief moment just to also show you that, you know, this is the defect table where you would say something at this point didn't work. So that you can see, well, I can change this now. And it's a way so you and your whole team can kind of go through. If somebody comes here and they look at this and they go DF02, well, what the heck does that mean? They can go to the tables and figure out what was meant. Overall, a RTM is a great communication tool for a team environment on any projects, whether it's large or small, to help make sure everybody's on the same page and that no piece is being left behind. I hope you found this video helpful. If you like this video, please like it. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. But have a great day.